So now we need to mark the centres for our pipes for where our shower valve's going to be. Fortunately, one of these pipes falls right on the line of the edge of the tiling bond, of the quarter progressing bond. So down our right edge we need a gap for silicone, so we cut our tile to width, put a mark for where the other pipe appears. Now we're going to need to know how high up in the tile it's coming. To get two cross lines of reference, put a spacer between this tile, you get a more accurate point. Mark the centre of the pipe on the tile. Then we're going to square these two lines to intersect, and that is exactly where our hole needs to be on the face of our tile. Now we could get expensive hole cutting, diamond impregnated hole cutters that cut beautiful holes, but you need to have them on a jig, and they are expensive. Now what most, in fact not most, but all professional tilers that I know, we use a 4-inch grinder to cut 15mm holes. That might sound strange, but just follow this sequence and you'll see how. So we've transferred our marks to the back of the tile for where the hole needs to be exactly. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our angle grinder and we're going to spin it in a circle. But in spinning in a circle, we'll be eroding these marks that we've made. So what we're going to do is put some ledger lines around the edges. In other words, create a square around our hole and put diagonals through the square, so that as we widen our cut, we can see coming out to the square that it's evenly cut in the middle, and we've found our centre of our hole in the other face of the tile on the other side. So, might seem a bit alien, but this is how it's done. That's your top professional tip. You want a segmented blade, a segmented diamond blade in your 4-inch angle grinder. The segments are to take the heat out of the blade because porcelain creates a lot of heat. So start to rotate your angle grinder on its edge, bearing in mind these reference ledger lines, as we call them, to the box, the square box, and start to watch this dish appear in the back of the tile. What you're doing is you're only resting the weight of the angle grinder on the tile, and you're feeling the edge of the blade cutting a dish out horizontally through the thickness of the tile, until eventually what happens, perfect, tiny little hole in the middle. And that's when we stop with the grinder. And we turn our tile over, and we use what are called parrot nibblers. They're called parrot nibblers because that's what they look like. And these, we put them through holes and we nibble out holes. Traditional tiling tool. But for the minute, they don't get in the hole, as you can see. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap little tiny splinters with anything, end of a file, big nail, screwdriver. You start tapping this hole and widening it to exactly where you want it until your parrot nibblers are going to fit from the rear underside of the tile through the hole, like so. Then we nibble around our pencil mark for the hole, and hey presto, 115mm hole cut with a 4-inch angle grinder. As you'll notice, those of you that are really aware, we had to make a slight adjustment. So that adjustment in the walls has caused the pipes to move slightly, and it's created a couple of little holes around them. These need filling. So we've got a tanking solution that we painted on, and what we do is we mix the tanking solution thicker to a thick paste rather than a paintable solution. We squash that into these holes around our pipes that are for the shower valve, so that we know that no water is going to get in or out. Put a bit of paste on, because we've got these cover patches that are little squares we're going to put on top of this and slide over our pipes, and these are reinforcement mesh pads that come with the tanking solution. So a coat on the wall, put your pads over your pipes, tamp them into place. And then we're going to coat over the top of these and around them nice and evenly. And that's all there is to it. That is tanking solution. Tanking solutions have been in use across the continent, and in fact in Denmark they're part of building law. You're not allowed to have a shower in a new building unless the room is tanked. Alleviates a hell of a lot of insurance claims and doesn't bother neighbours downstairs. So there's our 2 cuts now with our tile. We'll put this tile in position, slide it in. You don't want to go hammering this too hard because you've got 2 holes cut in this tile, and any over hammering would cause a crack between your 2 holes. You'll end up having to cut the tile again. So I prefer to press and squeeze and slice off the back, this technique, and not mallet at all when I'm doing the shower valve hole cuts. Check for level again, check for level. Now we just need our last cut in the corner and we've got past our shower valve. Beautifully level. Here's the other way we can do it. As you can see, turning this tile and marking from the rear of the face, the pipes are in the way. So if you put the tile above the line, mark for a 2mm gap either side, and then the tile below on the next row, and in she goes. The third and final check about these pipes, if you notice in detail this red wedge, I've checked the dimensions across the centres of the pipes and I've put the wedge in to hold its spot on position so that as the adhesive dries it'll set there. Quick mallet, put this last tile in perfectly into level face. Ready for next row. 2 red wedges in the side, keep the silicone gap. 2mm white spacers for the grout joints. Looking lovely. Continue with the rest up to the top. Here's the fan cuts. You can either cut it with the grinder or nibble it with straight jawed tile snips. Grout space and clean up again. Here's the last tile with the hole cut. As you can see, we had reference marks on the front and on the rear. Those cross lines, so that when you're dishing out, this is a bigger hole, so your parrot nibblers, you just have to nibble out further. Now, a little tip, check all these edges from where you've left a tile out, otherwise you might have lumps of adhesive that could stop it going in. Bit tricky here, you'll have to use all your backhand stroke techniques for putting on adhesive with the trowel. You might even have to switch to your gauging trowel, which is my favourite kind of bucket trowel. So get one of these. They're good for mixing the grouts and everything, as well as putting in any sort of pasting up. It's got a round nose, it fits into the edge of that bucket perfectly. Pasted the back of the tile, and in she goes. Beautiful. Again, I'm not going to whack this, but I'm going to jiggle it about left and right a bit, get a bit of adhesive squeezing out the joints, and then I'm going to sponge up. And as you'll see, those ledger lines will come off with a little rubber sponge. If you're using natural stone, be careful, it may not. So you might want to put masking tape over the face of a tile, if it's stone, so as not to have pencil marks that remain in the stone. The tanking solution comes as a 2-part mix, a bag of powder and a gallon of polymer. You do not use any water for the mix. So that leftover paste from tanking around the pipes for the shower valve, I'm going to mix a bit more solution so as not to waste it, to make it paintable. So we'll just give that a little stir. As you see, it comes nice and creamy, but still quite thick. And I wouldn't expect to be able to clean your paintbrush after this, so this is a disposable sort of paintbrush task. So here's our infill, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tank underneath it with a coat of tanking and tank on top of it, so it's double tanked. We're going to screw the plywood down at 8-inch centres so it's really nice and solid, because with all the water from the shower at the head of the bath, we want it to be thoroughly guaranteed waterproof. That's why I'm doing this double tanking system underneath this strip of plywood. Try and keep your tanking off your bath, you don't want it messy. And then over the top of the plywood as well. I'm going to pull the edge away from this tile reveal very slightly so that the tanking solution goes down the plywood and gets a nice thick seal of this glutinous liquid in there. So there's the screws, 8 inches apart, and now I'm just going to simply paint it on with this inch brush. Not rocket science, just a flexible tanking solution. Costs you about £80 in a decent tiling shop or builders merchants, and guarantees no leaks. The client needs to use the bath, so tonight we're going to put the bath filler spout on, 2 grub screws and an Allen key. Job done. Try the control taps. Open them both. Lovely. Filling the bath. Little tip about your hot and your cold: close your taps before you put your buttons in, then put them in perfectly horizontal. Metal edge to the windows. Metal edge to the boxing in. Here we've put a couple of cuts in. You might be tempted to just put one piece in, but if you don't put a couple of cuts in, the bond won't look continuous around this boxing in area.
The amazing new Studhawk Saw Guide set. There are 2 Studhawks in the pack. The Studhawk 90 makes cutting square simple, and those difficult miters, the Studhawk 45 makes them a piece of cake. The Studhawk helps keep your fingers safe and save time squaring a line. Get your Studhawk Saw Guide set today.